All right, guys, top of the morning. Happy February 11th. My hope is that you have something prepared, whether it is for consumers, for marketing, for you to just say that you love on people for Valentine's Day. And my hope is that you have something planned for the special person in your life or special fur baby in your life. But nonetheless, let's not miss an opportunity to market to what is happening this weekend. We all have an opportunity, whether you're doing a Small Mates campaign, whether you're doing a fun giveaway, whether you're setting up reservations for a lucky couple to go and eat dinner somewhere, whatever it is, I want you guys to focus on where we are this time of year. It is the time where we get to spread love, to be in the presence of love. And I think that it's a great opportunity for you guys to market to love. Whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, it doesn't really matter. It's just another great opportunity for you to market yourself. The greatest realtors are the ones that have the most mind share. Well, where does mind share come from? Mind share comes from marketing. So you, my friends, have an ability to go out there and market. Those that have the most influence in the market are the ones that are going to make the most money for their families. And so I want to encourage you guys, if you don't have anything yet, it's all right. Plan something, do something, and let's make sure that we at least do something versus not doing anything and missing a great opportunity to market ourselves on the day of love. So, middle of the screen for me, it is blessing. So, blessing, I'm going to have you take us out on the field on this amazing, beautiful Wednesday morning. So, blessing, I know you got something for the group this morning. So, let's roll.
It's always a privilege to be able to wake up every day and do what we do. So I'm always going to advocate for starting the day off with gratitude. Yes, let's love on our partners, let's love on our market, but let's love on each other too. Super grateful to see each and every one of you. For those that I got to see in person yesterday, Nishant, lots of energy. This screen does not the amount of energy that person gives in person is a lot, but take the time to really look at who's in your environment, what you're doing, and just let them know, how grateful you are for them. And, if you love them, say it. But today is definitely a day to let's lock in. We have another 24 hours, or my math is not mathing, 16 hours left of today to make something of it. And what do you want to make today? Let's go after it. Decide and go.
Well, I appreciate you. And you know what, my friend, seeing what you're doing on social, your visibility, you sharing your stories, doing it imperfectly, doing it in your way. It's just really, really cool to see that you're just continuing that journey of owning your visibility. And listen, each of you have a responsibility to own your visibility, be the digital mayor, be the commentator of your city. That's the opportunity that all of us have. And so make sure that that is a focus. And so, Blessing, I appreciate it. Blessing, let's do this. I want to ask you one more question about what was something that you learned from your completion of this round of intensity? Let's go there. What was something you learned about yourself, habits, skills, making sure that you had discipline? Whoa, Jeff's camera's bugging out. Are you guys seeing that too?
It is. He's got us in a techno.
Max Hedstrom back in the days. Yeah. But anyways, let's go to you, Blessing, really quick. I want to hear what you learned, took away from this round of intensity.
So my accountability group gave me some feedback that literally has changed the way that I'm looking at everything. I'm not a selfish person, and I take care of everyone around me. And I'm always I'm wanting to make sure that everyone around me has what they need, that they're good. And there came a point where things weren't people weren't showing up, and I was getting fixated on that. And Adam, in his very direct way, was if you are worried about what other people are doing, you are not busy enough. Flat out like that. And it was one of those things where, coming from the call on Monday to where I'm, just owning it out loud, I have not been busy enough. I have not been focused on myself. So while I am still available to help and advise and, be there for others that need my help, I am being selfish right now. I'm looking at my life. I'm looking at my household and running my own race. And I'm just not available as I was before, because I do need to lock in. And it's not selfish. It is me running my business and living my life.
That's right, my friend. And there's a book by Mel Robbins, Let Them, right? I think like if that's not in your flow right now, I think Deep Bledsoe's reading it. A couple other people shook their head. That's a book you should probably put on rotation or put that in your library or up next if you have not read that.
I'm a big Mel Robbins fan, so I have been listening to her. Like, so Let Them is a culmination of all of her years. So for it to be in book form now, it's like you've been saying this, now it's the book, but it's more so, it's not even let them, let me. Like it is okay to have goals. Like there's this martyrdom, like humble martyrdom, especially when you're trying to, not be braggadocious. You're not used to being in the spotlight, or it's been made to be villainized. Once you start to step into like owning your own walk, it can feel like you are bragging. And that's not that. It is simply you did the work. Who else is going to celebrate it if you don't? So, who else is going to take care of your bills if you don't? Who else is going to live your life if you don't? And the answer is it's only going to be you. So, that's where I'm operating from. And I know like it's just a simple thing, like a small revelation, but it's been really pivotal in opening a lot of like the limiting beliefs. So, like, this is just starting from psycho-cybernetics last year to everything I've been reading to just, it's now coming full circle of it is okay to be out in front. It is okay to speak up. My opinion is my opinion. If you don't like it, kick rocks. That's it.
Yes, Queen. All right. Queen. I appreciate that at a very, very high level. And I want to share this with you. If you were at the meeting yesterday, if not, some people are on this call that are not on the team. And I just want to share this with you one more time. And this is not in any way, shape, or form to be braggadocious at all. I just wanted to share this with you because 6 years ago, we started with nothing. We started with a vision, a cause, a crusade, and a desire to really want to make an impact in our industry. And I think that our company has done over $3 billion worth of real estate volume. Like, this is a testament of what's possible for every single one of us. We were that young, hungry, just like take action type of mentality. But then when we thought about that early on mentality, it's continued on year after year after year. We're going to go on our seventh year. And the constant has always been our ability to take action despite our ability to lead despite what is happening in the industry. And that is your responsibility too as an agent. There was a time when we entered into these rooms, like, do I deserve to be in these rooms? Do I have the skill? Do I have the talent? And early on, there was that syndrome, that imposter syndrome, like, oh my God, what are we doing? And then over the years, I got confident, and I got confident with who I was, and I found my voice, and I found my brand. And to look back and to know that I'm a kid from the streets that is helping to run a multi-billion-dollar company. You guys, it is so humbling to say, it is so humbling to be a part of, and like it is incredible to see what has happened in 6 years. And when you look back at your life, right? And when we're talking about that prompt the other day and writing the vision for our life and creating our song and our anthem, you see, when you do that, and you say, what will my life look like in 5 years if I decide to do the activities, if I stick to the calendar, if I stick to my routine, if I don't chase shiny objects, if I get clear on what I'm doing and I don't waver and I don't lean on my focus, what's going to happen in 5 years from now with my life? And then on the flip side of it, like, what are the things that I'm not able to accomplish? The success, the milestones, the accolades, all of the things as a result of me not choosing to do the things that I know that I needed to do. Where will your life be? And so it's a crossroads of a thought process. And see, when I look back at everything that we've been able to do, it's been rooted in our ability just to stay consistent and have the discipline to do so despite what happens in the market. And so I want that to be an encouragement to you guys. Yeah, 3 billion is a giant number, but maybe your 3 billion is 10 million. Maybe your 3 billion is 20 million. Maybe that is 40 deals, 30 deals, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe that's that high arching goal for you. Well, if it's something that is important to you, if it's something that is meaningful to you, you will know. And the reasons and the way that you will know is because it's going to show up in your behaviors. And if it's not showing up in your behaviors, then you need to stop doing what you were doing. You need to check in with yourself and you need to ask yourself, do I have the right vision for this business? And oftentimes we just need to tweak the way that we're thinking about it. But I wanted to share that with you guys because I'm humbled. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm grateful. for us to be able to be on this journey together, whether you're a team member or not on this call. Every single one of us have that thing, that 3 billion, that 20 million, that 30 million, whatever it is. But it was just powerful. I added that actually in the 11th hour yesterday because I wanted you guys to see a culmination of all the years of what's happened. And you guys were all strangers to me. I didn't know anybody in this industry. I didn't know any of the people that I'm in the circles with 6 years ago. And to think like we're one of the top teams in the entire United States of America. I don't know, you guys. I'm just having a reflective moment. So I'm going to go to Rosanna. Rosanna, you have a hand up for a minute, and then we're going to get right into our content for the day. So what do you got, Rosanna?
You were asking what did we learn with intensity? I learned a lot. I
Okay.
learned a lot. I personally consider that I am a disciplined person, but intensity created a structure in me. I mean, every metric is so important. Sometimes you say, oh, drink water. Yes. Oh, reflection, 5 minutes. Yes. Everything counts because we are going to get the success in the measure we are good in our inner.
Mm,
So I think every metric, each one will add up. I want to work every day in every metric because that is the way I think I'm going to. I think every metric will help to create my personal branding. I mean,
that's
if I
right.
empower every metric, even you think, oh no, that is not important. It is important. I want to become an expertise in the Napa market. Reading every day, I think I'm going to get it. So when I talk to people, I'm going to to show the value because I know about the market and I'm going to create confidence. I want they trust on me and I want to convert every ordinary contact into opportunity of business.
Well said. Well said, my friend. Right. And I think it's just even more poetic when it's in your accent. And so, my friend, I appreciate you. And listen, you guys, if for anybody that was not in intensity, I broke it down into 4 categories. So it was health, business, obviously, and productivity, your social media, and then more importantly, life and identity expansion. And so each of the participants, whether or not they finish and they cross the finish line completely, I feel it's okay. Because even if they did not finish the program entirely, I feel that the work that was done on self is going to echo far past the completion of the program. And so that was the hope and that was the intention. And so I want to get right into the conversation. Over the last 3 weeks, what have we been talking about? I've been on this conversation over the last 3 weeks, and what has been the core of our conversations over the last 3 weeks? Anybody want to take themselves off of mute and share with me what their understanding of the conversation has been over the last couple of weeks in coaching? I've been very, very clear on it, and if we're not, I want to make sure that I bring that home today.
Market yourself.
Okay, blessing.
Restoring the integrity of being a salesperson.
Restoring the dignity of being great salespeople. Okay. And I appreciate that. So listen, you guys, everything that we do comes down to how we are being leaders in our industry. Leadership first. If you feel that consumers are not moving, they're not listening, they're dragging their feet, they're not taking action, well, you have to ask yourself a very, very clear question. Am I being a leader throughout this process? What we find happens is that we're using words that are not serving us being a leader. We're follower mentality, and we're not getting the type of results that we want. And I want to challenge you guys. Anytime a consumer thinks of a certain thing about the market, about the patterns, about interest rates, whatever's going on in their mind, I want you to challenge yourself with this belief system. The challenge is this: somebody or something has influenced their choices and their decisions and their behaviors, right? Some type of information has influenced that. So the challenge, that's where it lies. You have to challenge yourself to say, how can my information, my communication influence their decisions, their behaviors, and their choices? How can I replace what they already think they know, which might be wrong, might be toxic, and might not be appropriate based on what's actually happening? And how can I replace it with my influence and my guidance. You see, I always think that if a consumer has an objection, if they have a reason why they're not moving forward, it's because they have a belief. They have an influence from information that was given to them or somebody, or it's a shared belief. So then I look at it as a challenge. All right, cool. You have that information. Well, my challenge is, how do I replace it? How do I replace it with new information and new influence? And I look at that as an opportunity. But what we're not doing enough of, and this is industry wide, we're not standing on a pillar of I am a leader. We are timid. We are soft. We don't want to be salespeople. But at the end of the day, those that are leading are those are the ones that are going to win. How many of you know when you are in the presence of a leader? Please raise your hand. A teacher, a coach, your parents. Like, you just know you're in the presence of a leader. And what does a great leader do? Is they set the tone, they future pace, they take you with them, right? There's very little guesswork, right? Here's what we're doing, and here's why we're going to do it, and here's how it impacts you. And so I want you guys to think about your language as leaders in this industry. And leadership is not a title. Leadership is not a manager. Leadership is in your words. It's not a push. It is not pressure. It is leading. It is leading. And I want us to restore the dignity of being great salespeople, leadership first. And I want us to own that space, because people are out there. They need you to be a doctor. And you have to ask yourself, are you being a doctor, or are you just leaving it up to the consumers to figure it out? So what I'm going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about the market. We're going to talk about rates. We're going to talk about some objection handling. I put some framework together. And so what I want you to do today is I want to encourage you, if you are here, put your camera on, be in this moment, be present. I see people driving and they're on. I see the Guava Road, whoever that is. Is that Kia? Okay, that's the third name in the last couple of sessions. So anyways, I love Guava Road, whatever that is. So I want to encourage you to throw your hand up. And Jennifer, I see you middle of my screen. Thank you for playing along. We proposed to Jennifer yesterday. She said yes. And so thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to dropping that video because I think it's going to be really cool. I think it will do very well, but that's just my opinion. But I just want to say thank you because you're middle of the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some objections up on the screen. And what I want to do is I want to test you. The reason why I want to test you is I want to see if you are applying the things that we have been talking about in coaching. Are you applying the things? Do you feel confident? Can you look at what I want you to do is I want you to have the Giuliano Massaretti type of attitude. I want you to have that kid's attitude that as soon as you get an objection, cool. It's not going to impact you. It's like, cool, I'm ready for it. You said no, it's okay. You hang up the phone, you put your music on, you're ready for the next one. That's the type of confidence that I want you to have, right? I don't want you to be scared of it. You should embrace the rejection because that's part of the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some objections on the screen and we're going to go right into this. I want to see what you guys have been taking from coaching, what you were learning from coaching, and I wanted to do a quick disclaimer. If my voice gets shaky at any time today, I am a little bit sick. Okay, my very first call today was at 6 a.m. What am I going to do? Am I going to call out sick? What? I got a responsibility. I'll sleep later. So I want to say thank you, Kia, for getting me sick. And she purposely said, I don't feel good. Give me an elbow. And so I picked up whatever she had. No, I'm just kidding.
No. I gave you fair warning, man. No. I even went, here, this is the best we can do.
We didn't have any close contact, so I'm just busting your chops, all right? Just busting your chops. But I woke up this morning feeling awful, you guys, awful. But I'm a man on a mission, and I will sleep later. So if my voice gets a little cracked at any time, forgive me, I'll just drink some water. So we're going to go here. And I have framework for you, but I just want to see what you guys say. We're going to go over and over this because I want you guys fluid with your language. All right. So we want to wait and see if rates drop. Womp, womp, womp. We're going to see that. We're going to hear that. I want to know what your dialogue is and what you're going to do to combat that. I also have some things on the screen that I'll put some dialogue, and I want you guys to practice that here live. So let's go one at a time. We'll go Gary Archer. Let's go to you. We want to see if rates drop. We want to wait and see until rates drop. So Gary Archer, let's go ahead. And first and foremost, let's give Gary some love, some light for him being the first person, well, him and Joanne to be the first people to raise their hands. So let's give him love and light. So great job. Let's roll, big dog. What do you got for us?
Man, nothing's better than real life experience like stuff like this. So Elias, I totally understand your conversation about you're waiting for rates to drop. Why is that important to you? Is it you don't want to get stuck paying too much for interest, or you don't want to get stuck paying too much for the house? Like, what's most important for you?
Okay. So what did Gary just do right now? Did he figure out if it was an objection, or did he really isolate it and see if it's an excuse? I think what he did is he framed it to say, what is the real objection here, right? So I'm going to tell you that I just want to, I'm afraid that the monthly is going to be too high. Let's go there.
Man, so that's usually what people think when they hear interest rate is too high, correct? So the interest rate too high, I'm gonna end up paying too much. But if we wait, what you have to understand, the more we wait, if the interest rate just drops 0.25%, we have another 500,000 people in the marketplace trying to fight over the same house that was only $600,000. That's now might go for 660, 670, because not only do you have more people able to buy the house, you're going to have rookies, you're going to have first timers in the marketplace willing to overpay for something they've never had. And then you're going to be caught up in that. Now, if we're really concerned about the interest, maybe we could wrap it in the deal and have this owner buy down some of that interest rate.
Okay. Okay. All right. So here's what's great about this is that he didn't hesitate. You see, what happens when we are in our sales communication, what happens is that sometimes our voice shudders. And it is the smallest of nuances that make the biggest impact in your sales communication. Oftentimes we shudder. Something in our voice starts to crack. We have words that are not definitive, not clear, not concise. They're loose and they're feather words. Well, that type of energy consumers are going to pick up on. I promise you. The moment that they see something happening in your posture and your physiology and in your words, they're going to pick up on that. And that might be the deciding factor that confirms the way that they're feeling about the market. They don't feel that Gary is that confident about the market. Why? Because something in his words started to shake. He started umming and ahhing through his rebuttal. And so therefore, it reaffirmed how they were feeling about the market. You see, in that instance, you have to be able to take control. And I think Gary did a really, really good job at this. So I'm going to take you through some framework. Feel free to take some pictures of this. But I think what you did, Gary, is you hit a lot of these points. Okay. So the weak agent response is, yeah, that makes sense. Let's see what happens. Or I'll follow up with you in a couple months and we'll see what happens. We'll look at the market and we'll see what happens, right? Oftentimes we let the consumer off the hook. Right? Well, if there's a dream to be a homeowner, then let's allow that dream to become a reality. And here's a top producer response. And what I've done is I've started to really compute and download all of your responses from this book here. If you don't have this book, make sure to buy this book, Exactly What to Say for Realtors. Out of curiosity, Gary, if rates did come down over the next couple months, what do you think would happen to demand, Gary?
The demand is going to be out of control. There's going to be a lot of people that never thought they could buy a house that watches the news that says, baby, let's go buy a house.
Yeah, just like you said earlier, Gary. Exactly. And when more buyers enter the market, what happens to price, my man?
I think price is definitely going to go up. That's, simple, supply and demand.
Yeah. And so as a consumer, if you just think about this, just realistically, would you rather compete in a crowded market at a lower rate or negotiate today with less competition and perhaps refinance a little bit later? What do you think the better option for your family would be?
Definitely the better option is to buy if you could afford now, and look, the refinancing option always can make it cheaper, but we might be able to stick at this rate. There's no telling the rate's going to come down or not, or go up. It's all speculation. How much you paying a month? How much you paying a month for your lease, Elias? How much didn't you say $3,500 for a lease? And
Correct.
Aren't you driving 45 miles to work? Like, let's get you closer to your work. Let's make your quality of life better. Like, what's the price on that?
Yeah, Gary, really good stuff. And so in Gary's language and in this framework here on the screen, that's leadership, right? You guys, I am going to say this from the mountaintops over and over again. Leadership first. Well, you didn't argue. You simply guided them and helped them to see a different way. And so let's pause for a quick second based on what's on the screen and what Gary provided. Let's get some thoughts and get some dialogue, get some insight on this. I'm going to go over to Alexis, then I'll go over to Jennifer. Let's get some thoughts and dialogues and some insights based on what was covered on the screen and from what Gary shared.
Yeah, thanks, Gary, for like raising your hand and being bold to answer that question. I love the way your tone just comes right off the bat, being really confident, but also coming at it in a curiosity way, just trying to get to know a little bit more about their objectives and their goals. And so I think that's really important to just be curious of what your clients really want, and then also providing them with education and information of what the next steps are moving forward for them. So that was
Totally. But really good stuff, right, Alexis? And Alexis, most of my buyers, they don't buy because rates come down. They buy because their situation tells them that they're ready. They're ready to start building wealth, building security, stop paying rent, start, creating wealth for their own family. Is that the same case for you? Well, sure it is. How do you say no to that? Wonderful. Since that's the case, here's what we do next. And we set up a strategy call. Even if a consumer says we're not ready, wonderful. It's okay because I understand you probably need a little bit more information. So here's what we do next. Let me give you the information, which is a buyer consultation, because what will happen is the consumer will tell you 1 year and they'll move in 3. They'll move in 3. So really good stuff, Alexis. Gary, what do you have for us, big dog? You threw your hand back up.
Yeah, I apologize. Just wanted to play a real life scenario that's happening to me right now with a buyer that I met in San Mateo area looking at a condo. I meet with him and he's telling me, we're going through what we're going now, the framework. And then he says, yeah, I appreciate all the information, but I really need to wait 90 days, 120 days. And I said, well, what's going on with that? And he was basically saying, well, I got to, I have this current lease I'm in. It's not off, it's not done till March. So let's just wait till then. I said, well, why don't we schedule later on today? Let me put together some information and let's get a strategy call together. So when you are ready to buy, you know exactly what to do next. You're not sitting around waiting 90 days from now and then trying to get started. So as I did that, we get on the call and start going through the buyer's consultation. And I said, so I just want to be clear. So the only reason we're waiting is because your lease isn't up yet and you don't want to be caught in that lease. And yeah, that's it. I said, well, what if we put our offer and we wrap your lease buyout inside the offer? We could do that. I said, if we could ask for anything. That's what we could do. And I said, it's probably going to happen. I said, but these rates drop, it's not going to happen. It will not happen. We will not have the same opportunity we have today.
Smart, really good stuff. Let's go to Jennifer. Jennifer, key thoughts, key takeaways, insight on what was on the screen and or what Gary shared. Let's roll.
So my key takeaways, I think, is you got to remember how the consumer feels when you're talking to them. A lot of people are never going to feel ready for anything, and that goes beyond real estate. So, like, just listening to Gary, for example, and his tone of voice, it's like, oh my God, you're getting the consumer excited for this new chapter of life. And I think that's what they remember the most is how you make them feel, because at the end of the day, yes, we sell houses, beautiful houses, like we mentioned before in our other calls, but we're also working with people. So the way Gary's talking, it's like getting you excited for the consumer. It's you're opening opportunities that when you're in the moment and you're by yourself, you only see things like this, like a horse. So I think these answers to these objections are more of like, let's give them a new feeling. Let's give them, like a mind heart coherence. Thank you, Alex. And that's kind of my takeaways.
Really good takeaway, Jennifer. I think this is your first contribution on Keep It Moving. Powerful. Throw your hand up more often. I appreciate your contribution, and I'll get to the other hands up in a moment. But I want you guys to think about your energy and the energy that you're giving off to this business when you get on a phone call, when you meet someone face to face at a showing, when you're at a networking event, when you're out there previewing properties on brokerage. I want you to ask yourself, what type of energy are you giving off? Because I heard something the other day, and I think Lindsay shared it, and we talked about it on intensity. Light travels faster than sound. And what that means is that the light that you give off, which you all have it, is going to be felt by the people that are in your orbit. And so be very conscious about the energy that you're giving off, because each of you, my friends, have a vibration. You have a frequency. Well, is that frequency one that is powerful, bold, and assertive? Or is it an energy and a frequency is the you shrinking in these moments because you don't want to come across as too pushy and you're like, maybe type of energy. And so light travels faster than sound. Make sure that you are checking your energy at the door. Absolutely love this. Really, really good stuff. Melody, you're going to be up next, but before I get to Melody, I'm going to go over to Rosanna. Rosanna, what was your contribution? I want to make sure I didn't miss your hand.
Okay. When I find someone, when I start talking with someone that is discussing about the rates, and the most of them are renters, so I have a strong argument. You know what? You have to, I understand that you, at the first moments when you come here, you don't have the power, you are not available to buy something. But you have to think if you are renting, I mean, you are worried about the rates, but you are paying 100% of rate. So you have to understand this and you have to stop. Uh, I mean, you have to stop renting because you have to start investing in your own wealth. I mean, you have to think that that payment, that monthly payment that you pay for rent doesn't come back, doesn't return to your pocket.
Right.
So it goes away and you never see it again. So you have to understand that you have to start investing in your own wealth. And that is 100% of interest. And
Right.
just marry the house and then date with the rate. And they are start understanding that perspective.
Perfect. I love that, but I'm going to encourage you to never say those words. Marry the house and date the rate. Like that's just been said so many times over the last couple of years. Find a different way. And I think it's very poetic to say it in just different ways. Like at the end of the day, you're already paying a mortgage, but you're not paying someone else's mortgage. If you continue to pay your rent for the next 3 years at $2,500 a month, that means that your family has spent $90,000 to build someone else's wealth. What we want to show you is a pathway to start putting that money back into your own family so your family can have that security. Because in 3 years from now, if your family had positive equity of, say, $90,000 for $50,000, what kind of security would that provide for you and for your family? Well, it would provide this and provide us options. Absolutely. So here's what we do next. Let me at least educate you on the process, and I'll do a comparison of rent versus own. And you tell me what you want to do moving forward, and I'll be here to support that journey. So, Rosanna, I love how you say it. Ashley, you had your hand up. Let's go to you really quick, and we'll shift gears.
Sure. I was just going to say, whenever anyone talks about interest rates being higher, waiting for them to drop, I always tell them a story. People communicate better with stories. They don't know this world. And if you get wrapped up in facts and rates and like pros and cons, they literally tune out. So I always tell them, oh my gosh, do you know anyone who bought a house in 2021? Ask around, but I'll tell you my experience. There was like 20 people on each house because interest rates were 3%. And they had a whole word. It was called buyer fatigue, where people would put in offers and offers and offers, and they couldn't get it accepted. And so they would just quit looking because it was so hard to get a house. And if you had an FHA loan or a down payment assistance loan, it was almost impossible. They were paying more than what the house was worth just because there was so much competition. But now the opposite is happening. It's much more even market. You're more likely to get your offer accepted. And in some cases, sellers are even willing to buy down your rate to get you a cheaper mortgage. So you have so much more power and leverage in this market than you could ever have if interest rates were lower. The best thing that you can do is to buy in a market like this. And then if rates really do go down, great, refinance. Then you get the best of both worlds. You didn't have to compete against a mob to buy a house. You didn't have to like waive all your rights and your contingencies and just get the buyer fatigue on 30 different houses. You got your house, you didn't have to compete, and now interest rates, if they do drop, great, you refinance, you get the best of both worlds, and you didn't have to stress to do it. My opinion is it's a much better time to buy now than to wait because you don't want to be out there.
God, I absolutely love this conversation, guys. I saw this exercise I think a couple years ago, and I think it's always applicable when we talk about rates. And Ashley, don't draw on my screen. Lisa, don't draw on my screen. Thank you. Whoever else is drawing on my screen. Everyone, stop touching. Stop touching anything. All right, so let me just draw really quick. So I look at the housing market, very simple. Let's say there's a house here, and do not judge my. All right, so let's say that this is a house, and this represents our current market. Oh, cool, there's a front door, and there's a pathway. Oh my God, I'm such an artist. Okay, let's say that this is the house. And let's say that this house is protected. and it's protected by this invisible force field. And let's say the interest rates today, Ashley, what are the interest rates as of today on a 30-year fixed conventional loan? What would that be?
Right around 6.125, 6.375, somewhere in there.
Let's say 6.125. All right. So let's do this, you guys, for the sake of this conversation. Let's say that invisible force field is a 6.125 interest rate. Okay. And you have people outside of the market because they don't want to purchase a house because the interest rate. Okay. Well, as soon as that interest rate goes down, what happens is now that fortress or force field is now removed. So what happens is that you have all these other people in the market that are going to continue to drive prices of the homes upwards. And so I think that simple napkin presentations to where it just makes sense for people to see, oh, okay, now I get it. Now you have no force field around that house. So what happens, you remove that, and now you get the flood of people. And when you have a flood of people, do you think that's going to drive prices up or down? What's going to drive them up? And so what does that mean to you? That you're going to have to pay less or more? I'm going to have to pay more. Wonderful. That's why taking action now, despite, is the best formula for you to start building wealth for you and your family. So literally napkin presentations, being able to write it down in a way that people can see and like, oh, okay, Elias, that makes sense. I get that. Remove that force field, and what do you have? All these other people that are going to enter the market. So Ashley, I love this. Very, very poetic. I'm going to go over to Mel. Mel, you're up next, my friend. We read an article, and it looks like the market is kind of risky right now. We read some articles the other day. So I just want to hear, before I put the framework on the screen, how are you handling this? Where do you go next in the conversation, Mel? We have no audio for you, my friend. Okay. Check, check, check. Mel, Mel, Mel. No, I think you might be hooked to your headphones somewhere else. So I'm going to go over to Blessing. Blessing, you're up next, my friend. Mel, when you find that unmute button or whatever's going on, just unmute yourself. Let's go, Blessing.
Am I putting the objection of one more time for me? Or saying
Yep, I'm going to put it up on the screen here. 1, 2, 3. We read an article, and it looks like the market looks risky. Now, I don't look at this as a true objection. This is more of a worry. It's more of a fear. So how are you addressing and mitigating this fear? Let's roll.
You know, Elias, there are a lot of headlines out there, and most of my consumers, when they come to me with this question or this concern, I always ask, are we looking at the market that you are most interested in, or are we reading national headlines? So was this a local headline or was it a national article that you read?
Yeah, I don't recall. I just saw the article. I don't know if it's national or local.
Okay, and that's okay, because really, you know, the headlines that we are hearing, they are mostly national. So you're going to get a general overview. Anytime that you are looking at buying a home, what I do with my clients is that we look specifically at the neighborhoods, because especially here in the Bay Area, you can cross the street and it can be a completely different market. So let's hone in on what's happening specifically in the market that you want to look at, so that when you hear those headlines, you know that that's a completely different market, but where you're focused on, you have clarity. So let's go ahead and do our buyer consult, and I can pull all that information and we can work through that. So you said morning or afternoon works better for you.
Yeah, I'm going to pause because coach is really, really excited when I hear stuff like this. And so what she did is she isolated, okay, she addressed, and then she said, how do I take them through the next stage of the buying process or the sales funnel? You see, oftentimes we address and we isolate, and then we don't go to the next logical conclusion, which is the close in the process. And I think that you did that really, really well. And once you guys do this consciously over and over and over again, your subconscious takes over, and this is just a part of your flow. This is just how you communicate. You're no longer asking for permission. This is how you run your presentations. So, Blessing, really good. Melody, I think I have you back on audio, but before I get over to you, I'm going to get a couple thoughts and key takeaways from what was just covered. Let's go to Carmen. Carmen, what did you hear in Blessing's approach?
She's very confident, very clear, straight to the point. Amazing, really. How many years she doing real estate?
Just a few.
Wow, it's amazing, really, very clear. I love it. Yep,
Do you hear the leadership in her voice?
for sure.
So remember that, you guys. If you take anything from this call, leadership first. Leadership first. Really good stuff, Carmen. Gary, let's get your contribution, and we're going to shift gears over to Mel.
Man, the way she blessing isolated it and agreed with it, like, yeah, these headlines, but are these local headlines that you're reading or national headlines? Oh man, I think they're national. Yeah, yeah, nationally things are really messed up. But what neighborhood are we looking in? Because it's specific, especially the Bay Area. So she isolated. We're in the Bay Area. Our climate is way different, right? City to city, block to block. And I think that created such a curiosity, like, wow, I had no idea that it's different like that. And then, it creates this real, where we're the not like you said, not an objection solver, but another step of diving deeper, like, wow, it gets them excited to take the next step.
Yeah, Gary, appreciate your contribution. Let's go over to Mel. Mel, let's get a mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. All right. So I'm going to put the objection back up on the screen here. What we're looking for is your rebuttal and how do you continue to guide the person through the sales process. We read an article and it looks like the market is very, very risky right now.
Okay, got it. So what I hear you saying, Elias, is you read an article somewhere and the market seems a little risky right now. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. So I just want to take a couple of steps back with you. What's important to you about purchasing a home? What would that mean for you?
Security, family, being able to have something that's ours.
Okay, and do you currently have a home right now or are you renting?
We're renting.
Okay, and so what would being able to purchase a home actually do for you in your life other than security?
I mean, it would have a sense of like, I don't know, esteem for the family, and a security for them.
Okay. And would that change the quality of your life or your children's lives at all?
Yeah, of course. They would have better esteem. They would have more confidence.
They would have more confidence. Okay, amazing, amazing. And what do you think that they would feel when you handed them the keys and gave them the opportunity to pick out their own rooms and be able to be in that neighborhood?
Joy, happiness.
Okay, awesome. So is it important to you to be able to create that feeling of joy and happiness within the family?
Of course.
Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think that is to you?
10.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like it's pretty important to you then, pretty high up there on the totem pole for things that are a goal in your life. So, why don't we go ahead and take a look at some homes together? I would love to give you the opportunity to see how you could create that right now in your life. And much like, you get sick and that feeling where like you're going to the doctor and you're Googling all the symptoms of what could possibly be wrong with you right now. And then you get in front of your doctor and then you say, hey, doctor, I read all this stuff on Google and I think I might have X, Y, and Z. What do you think your doctor would look at you and say in that moment?
Probably tell you that stop reading all that stuff and listen to your doctor.
Exactly. So I'm not going to play doctor right now, and I'm just going to say stop reading all that stuff online. Let's go look at some houses. Let's create that feeling of joy, confidence, and that ownership feeling within you, your relationships, and your family's life. And whenever you come across the next article, just shoot it my way, and we can kind of talk through it. But I really want to be able to give you the opportunity to create that feeling in your family's life.
Yeah, I mean, well said, Mel. Well said. And I'm going to get some thoughts and some takeaways here. So I want you guys to just think about language. Obviously, the language discipline. When you hear Mel talk, there was only one time that she asked is a yes or no question. It was, is it important? Well, of course it's important. The way that she asked it was, of course it's important, Mel, right? They'd be very, very hard pressed for someone to say no because she framed it properly. But throughout her communication, there was very, very few confrontational questions like why. There was not any yes or no questions besides the one, And so it got them to think about it in a little bit of a different way, in a different manner. So here's the framework. And I think that Mel hit on some of this spot on, and feel free to take a picture of this or hang on to this. So here's the framework, and then we'll get some takeaways from what Mel just covered. What's really behind what they are saying, right? Remember, when somebody has information that has influenced their choices and their behaviors, well, that was learned. So then my challenge is how do I replace it with my influence through my communication and my information? So it was media fear amplification, short-term thinking. They were borrowing somebody else's anxiety. A top producer's response is first validate. I'm glad you're paying attention. I'm actually glad that you're reading and understanding the market. But let me go a step further with you. Can I share with you what most articles don't explain? Or can I share with you the reality of what's actually happening in the real estate market? You see, Mel took it to an emotional journey. You could also share it with them from a logical standpoint. So you are at a crossroads right there. Are you going to go deep on the emotions based on what you've understood about the consumers? Or are you going to share with them the reality of what's actually happening in the local real estate market, the strength and the viability of where we are in the market, and how that's going to serve them? And so you've just gained permission without sounding weak. So then real estate is hyper local. You've said that. Gary said that. Everyone else said that. People reports national averages. Wealth is built over time, not timing. God, I love that. I love that. Stop trying to time the market and just have time in the market. I've heard people say that, and I've always loved that line. Then close strong. Is your decision based on where the market might be in 6 months or where you want your life to be in 5 years? That's identity, and that's identity level selling. You see, what Mel did is she started to paint a picture of where she would want to, where they would want to see their family, where they would want the kids. What does that mean to them to ride their bikes in the cul-de-sac? What is that? So it's your decision based on what the market may do in the next 6 months on this national level, or where you want your life to be in 5 years. What's more important to you? Well, where we want our life to be in 5 years. So since that's more important to you, here's what we do next. So Mel, I thought that your framework hit a lot of those key topics there. So really, really good stuff. Let's go around the room. Let's get some thoughts. Let's get some dialogue. I don't know if Guava Road can talk, but if Guava Road can't talk, we'll come back to you in a moment. But Dee Bledsoe, let's get a key thought, key takeaway from you on the conversation. Then we'll go back over to Ross. Let's go, Dee.
Just be assertive and be the leader in the conversation. Like that's the common theme that I'm hearing from Mel to Blessing. Like just continue to lead with confidence and know what you're talking about. And that's what we get paid for, is to lead these people to what they ultimately want to do, instead of just being passive about it, or leaving it up to them to decide how this goes, because again, they're working with us for a reason, to help them get to that place. So lead with confidence.
That's right. It's not, listen, you guys, sometimes there's this misconception, and I want to make sure that we dismantle that. It is not pressure. It is not being pushy. It is being leaders, right? It is being leader. Oh, I don't want to be no, just go and be a leader. Just go and be a leader. It's a total different mindset shift. Before we get over to Ross, let's go over to Jennifer, and then we'll go to Mel, then we'll go to Ross. Jennifer, what do you have, my friend?
Hi, okay. I want to touch back a little bit on what Mel said because, like you said, she did like an emotional approach. But I think very subtly what she did too is what we talked about in calls before is she actually invited the consumers into the market by saying, let's go look at some houses. So she's actually taking them from them standing outside of a house they want to bringing them inside to a house that they want. And that is like such a powerful move of like, hey, you're not on the outside. You're actually very much on the inside. But she's like inviting them into the market, which is like what we have to do as realtors, like stop having them have this vision of, oh, I'm not part of that. I'm not in that market. I'm not like I'm outside. When they're reading these articles, they're approaching it from an outside view. And you're here to be that bridge of bringing them inside and showing them that. So I think that's kind of what she did really cool.
Wow. I love how introspective that takeaway is. Really, really good stuff. Let's go back to Mel, then we'll wrap up with Ross. What do we have, Mel?
I just wanted to kind of drive home my philosophy behind selling. When I think about selling, I don't think about the object anymore. And I've been working on a lot of personal development stuff and taking a lot of sales trainings. And I've noticed that the best sales trainers in the world are not selling a product. They're actually selling the identity and the emotion behind the product. It's actually about how good we can get at that, how masterful you can get at that, that you're selling at a very, very, very high level. But, like, for example, if you were to say, sell me this iPad, right? Like, I'm holding an iPad in my hand, you guys can't see. But if, it's not even about the iPad. It's actually about the emotion and the convenience, about the feelings that the iPad is going to bring into my life. You could put that towards an energy drink. You could put that towards an iPhone. You could put that towards a car or a house. It doesn't matter what the product is. You just need to recreate that feeling. And I've watched so many bad sales call. An example of a really bad sales call would be you sitting there trying to convince them that they need to sign the paperwork, or that they need to buy the car, or they need to buy that iPad, and giving them a list of reasons why they need that, versus, okay, you need an iPad? Tell me more about that. What would that iPad do for your life? How would that change your business? How would you look and feel in front of your clients walking into a listing appointment with that iPad? How would that advance your career? Sit there and literally ask a million questions and let them sell themselves on the product, because clearly they're talking to you for a reason. So sell it to them by allowing them to come to their own conclusion. And that's exactly how you sell at a very high level.
Yeah, you guys, I have a simple philosophy. It is discovery, discovery confirmation, and logical conclusion. The discovery is asking all of the right questions and listening, right? You're just asking the right questions. Tell me a little bit more. What does that mean to you? When you say that's important to you, tell me why that's important to you. When you say you want a backyard with that, why is that important to you, right? When you say big ass backyard, what are you guys going to do in the backyard? Tell me more. I want to know. Elaborate. Tell me more. And then the discovery confirmation is, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly, Julia, and I didn't miss anything. Did you say this? Did you say this? Did you say this? I did. Did I miss anything? Okay, perfect. Here's what we do next, right? The consumer needs to know that you are truly, truly there for them and that you're listening to them. Well, the only way that you're going to be able to do that is by asking very, very intuitive questions. And that's the science of this, right? It's kind of like being a lawyer. A lawyer asks a series of questions to get an end result, right? It's the same thing that we're doing. We're getting information out of people, and then we're regurgitating that and then take them to the next process. So Mel, really well said. Let's go, Julia, then we'll go to Ross to wrap up our session. So Julia, what do you have for us, my friend?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Mel said, we're selling houses. Unless you're talking to an investor, it should be emotional, because they do need to vision their lives there. They need to feel like my realtor really is aligned with my goals and what I see myself, and she's going to integrate herself into my life and know me on a personal level so much that we're going to trust her with the sale. So take away like metrics and everything. Obviously we have those goals, but you're working with people, so it should be relationship based. And I'm taking a business course, and relationship based sales is basically what you're going to have to do in real estate. And I feel so strongly about that. And I got sold the F out of my VA, because I was interviewing VAs and he was like, I came here with a 6-month plan to show you, but I think that's so irrelevant. I want to know about you, and I want to know why you need me. And then from there, maybe I can help you by integrating myself into your life. And I was like, obviously, right? And so if we can just pick up that philosophy a little bit more and be so aligned with our clients' goals, then of course we're going to get the sale. So human first, sales later is always been my ethos.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. That's my philosophy as a coach, you guys. My philosophy as a coach is to impact the human first, and then the money will follow. If I can impact the human in you, then I can get the agent in you to perform. Right? That's my simple philosophy. So Ross, I'm gonna have you be the last person, my man. Key takeaway as we wrap sesh.
Key takeaways. I mean, I just like the different perspectives. Melodies was kind of talking about the emotions and getting the consumer excited, and Blessing was very like
kind of direct and being the leader and kind of redirecting them to, where they need to be in the end.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Ross. No matter what route we go with our consumers, obviously there's going to be times where it's heightened emotion, it's heightened logic, and you're playing this game back and forth, right? With logic, I'm emotion. And it is a beautiful poetic dance that we do with our people. And sometimes you're going to have that person that you have to be high emotion. And then there's going to be the analyticals that it's going to be high logic. But no matter what, when you strip down the language is always leadership first. Always. It's assertive, it is bold, and it is leadership first. You all have a responsibility to be leaders. It's not a title, it's not a manager. You are a leader first. Own that. Own that. Check your language at the door, check your energy, the state that you are in when you get in these conversations. And I promise you, you'll start to see things really come full circle. So, really good session today, you guys. Like I said, I am on a mission right now to make everybody in my orbit better salespeople. That's it. I want you to book more appointments. I want you to go on more appointments so you can close more. And I want you to make more money for your family. That's it. I want you to go on vacation. I want you to do big things. I want you to buy those things that you want, buy your investment property, buy your first house. That's what I want for you guys. So that's my mission. I'm here to serve you guys at the highest level. And as always, my friends, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision. And make today a day that truly matters. Thank you all for your contributions. And thank you all for listening and being open to receive. Peace, my friends.